Hello again, friends, and welcome back to our channel and the Saint Story for Kids. It's me again, Joseph, your host. In this episode, we are going to meet a remarkable saint. In fact, she became Sweden's first saint in 625 years, when Pope Francis canonized her in 2016. Her name is Saint Mary Elizabeth Hesselblad, and she is also known as the second Bridget. Maria Elizabeth Hesselblad, born on the 4th of June, 1870, as the fifth of 13 children born to August Robert Hesselblad and Kisa Peterstoder Dag, Lutheran parents from Figlavik in Västra Götaland County. She was baptized the following month and received into the Lutheran Church of Sweden in her parish of Huddinge. By 1886, she had to work to help them make ends meet. At first, she looked for work in Sweden, but eventually immigrated to the United States in 1888, where she studied nursing at Roosevelt Hospital in New York City. While there, she did home nursing, which brought her into contact with the Catholic faith of many of the poor for whom she cared. In 1896, Elizabeth decided to leave hospital work for private duty nursing. She became a nurse and companion to two teenage daughters of wealthy Catholics, the Cisneros family. She developed an interest in the Catholic Church while deep prayer and personal study led her down the path of conversion. And on the 15th of August, 1902, the Feast of the Assumption, she received conditional baptism from a Jesuit priest, Johann Georg Hagen, in the chapel of the Georgetown Visitation Monastery in Washington, D.C. Hagen also became her spiritual director. As Elizabeth Hesselblad reflected on that moment, she wrote, "In an instant, the love of God was poured over me. I understood that I could respond to that love only through sacrifice, and a love prepared to suffer for His glory and for the Church. Without hesitation, I offered Him my life and my will to follow Him on the way of the cross." 2 days later, she received her first communion and would depart for Europe. Hesselblad approached Hagen and asked that she be received into the church at once, to which Hagen said he did not think she was prepared. However, after questioning her at length and after significant consideration, he saw no reason not to receive her into the church. It was in that same year that her brother there also converted to Catholicism. Hesselblad then made a pilgrimage to Rome, where she received the sacrament of confirmation. She also visited the house of Bridget of Sweden there, where Bridget had spent the last half of her life, which made a deep impression on her. At that point, Hesselblad felt called to dedicate her life to the work of Christian unity. She returned to New York City briefly, only to go back to Rome, where on the 25th of March 1904, she was welcomed as a guest by the nuns of the Carmelite monastery housed there. The prioress welcomed her after hesitating to accept her due to her weak health. However, she allowed Hesselblad on the condition of a period of probation. Yet it was at this point she fell gravely ill and even had to receive the extreme unction. She slowly recovered and held out against her family's pleas to return to Sweden. She petitioned the Holy See to be able to make religious vows under the rule of the order which Bridget had founded. She had been a prominent presence in the church in Sweden before the Protestant Reformation had taken hold there. Hesselblad received special permission for this from Pope Pius X in 1906, at which time she assumed the habit of the Bridgettines, including its distinctive element of a veil with a symbolic crown. She professed into the hands of Hagen on the 22nd of June 1906, the Feast of the Sacred Heart. Hesselblad attempted to revive interest in the order and its founder in both Sweden and Rome. Her proposal to establish a monastery of the order on the site where Bridget had lived received no volunteers from the few monasteries of the order still in existence. Giving up on the intention of following the established way of life in the order, she proposed one which included the care of the sick. To this end, she was joined by 3 young women from England, whom she received on the 9th of November 1911, with which the new congregation was established. Their particular mission was to pray and work, especially for the conversion of the Scandinavian people to the Catholic Church. Hesselblad returned to her homeland of Sweden in 1923, where she was able to establish a community in Djursholm while she worked nursing the sick poor. The new congregation was established in England in 1931. After receiving the approval of the Holy See that same year, Hesselblad obtained the House of St. Bridget in Rome for her new congregation. A foundation was made in India in 1937, which drew many new members. Her order received canonical approval on the 7th of July 1940. Hesselblad became known as the second Bridget. During World War II and after, She performed many charitable works on behalf of the poor and those who suffered due to racial laws, and also promoted a peace movement that involved Christians and non-Christians. The war also saw her save the lives of over 60 Jews from the Holocaust for over 6 months. She strictly forbade her sisters from trying to convert the hidden families. One survivor, Piero Piperno, later recalled, "She saved our lives, but above all, in those dark times, she recognized the dignity of our religion." Her apostolic zeal contributed to the conversion of the Baptist minister Piero Ciuminelli, author of a biographical account of Bridget of Sweden, and she also had close ties to the former chief rabbi of Rome, Israel Zali Eugenio, who converted to the faith in 1946. Hesselblad's health declined when officials prepared the canonical visit of her order. On the 23rd of April 1957, she gave her blessing to the sisters and held her raised hands in a solemn gesture in which she murmured, "Go to heaven with hands full of love and virtues." She received the sacraments thereafter and died in Rome on the 24th of April 1957, Easter Wednesday, in the first hours of the morning. The sainthood process commenced in Rome in 1987 and concluded its work in 1990. Pope John Paul II proclaimed Elizabeth Hesselblad to be a venerable servant of God on the 26th of March 1999, after he recognized that she had lived a model Christian life of heroic virtue. The miracle requested for her beatification was investigated in 1996 and received ratification in Rome on the 17th of October, 1998. Pope Francis approved the second miracle attributed to her on the 14th of December 2015, which would allow for her future canonization. The date was decided at an ordinary consistory of cardinals on the 15th of March 2016 and was celebrated in St. Peter's Square on the 5th of June 2016. The miracle was investigated in the diocese of its origin in Cuba in February 2014. The miracle in question occurred in the late 2000s and was validated in Rome on the 20th of June 2014. A medical board approved the emeral in April 2015. St. Mary Elizabeth Hesselblad's feast day is celebrated on June 4th because it marks her earthly birthday. She was born on June 4th, 1870, while the Catholic Church traditionally assigns a saint's feast day to the date of their death or their heavenly birthday. Exceptions are frequently made for specific pastoral or liturgical reasons. Avoiding liturgical conflicts, April 24th is already the primary feast day of St. Fidelis of Sigmaringen, a prominent martyr and doctor of the Church. When a saint's date of death clashes with a pre-existing major feast day, or frequently falls during Lent and the Easter octave, the Vatican often chooses an alternative significant date. Double calendar listing. Because of this adjustment, her feast day varies depending on the calendar. It's the Universal Church calendar, and most liturgical sources observe her feast day on June 4th. However, her own religious order, the Bridgettine Sisters, still observes a localized memorial for her on her actual date of passing. April 24th. St. Mary Elizabeth Hesselblad's life offers powerful, practical lessons for our modern world. Here is what we can learn from her legacy. Number 1. Stand up for human dignity. During World War II, she did not just pity the persecuted. She actively risked her own life to hide more than 60 Jewish people in her convent. The lesson here is that true faith requires us to show up and protect the vulnerable when it matters most, even at great personal cost. Number 2. Respect others' beliefs. In sheltering Jewish families, she explicitly forbade her sisters from trying to convert them. Instead, she encouraged the families to practice their own faith and pray together within the convent walls. The lesson here is that we can love, serve, and protect people of different faiths or backgrounds without demanding that they change who they are. Number 3. It is never too late to pivot. She started her adult life as a nurse in New York, converted to Catholicism in her 30s, and went on to revive an entire religious order. The lesson here is that your past does not lock you into a single path. You can reinvent your life's purpose and make a massive global impact at any age. Number 4. Live with hands full of love. Her famous final words to her sisters were, "Go to heaven with hands full of love and virtues." The lesson here is that success is not measured by what we accumulate, but by the love and kindness we give away to others every single day. Now, friends, let us end our session today with a simple prayer, inspired by the life of St. Mary Elizabeth Hesselblad. Dear Lord, thank you for the inspiring life of Saint Mary Elizabeth Hesselblad. Give me the courage she had to stand up for the vulnerable and to open my doors to those in need. Teach me to see and respect the divine dignity in every person I meet, regardless of their background, faith, or story. When dark times come, let me be a sanctuary of peace, safety, and hope for others. Guide my actions today so that when my time comes to meet you, I may return to heaven with my hands completely full of love and virtues. Amen. Thank you, friends, for watching and joining me in the story of St. Mary Elizabeth Hesselblad. Hope you can be inspired by her. If you enjoyed this video and our saint stories, please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more faith-inspiring contents, reflections, and many more. Take care, everyone. Stay safe and healthy as usual. See you next time, and God bless you always.